go ahead and we'll call the Streets and Sidewalk meeting to order at 5:33 p.m. I think Mr. Heights is actually the chair, so I guess I'll just sit in for this meeting. Amy, could you give us a roll call, please?
Sure. Tony?
Present.
Christina?
Here.
Mayor?
I am here.
And of course, we are missing Mr. Heights.
Okay, we have texted Mr. Heights. Hopefully he'll join us in a bit. Chris, can you share your screen again? So we can go through the agenda. I think the first item on the agenda, as I remember, was to approve the meeting minutes that we had back in March.
March 3rd, yes.
Yeah, March 3rd. So if I get a motion for that.
Yeah, they looked good.
I saw nothing out of place. So, okay. Are we all in favor of approving the meeting minutes?
I think so. I am.
Yes.
Okay. So then this evening, the first big item on our agenda is a discussion regarding the designated outdoor refreshment area referred to as DORA. Amy and I had a conversation with Karen Volzer. Karen's on the call this evening last week about this. I know Mr. Bertone, Mr. Heights had a conversation with one of our other business owners, the Pompadour. I don't know if Christina was involved in any of those or not, but there seems to be some interest in designating an outdoor refreshment area. And we've read some of the legislation here. It seems doable. Just don't know the footprint. And what I read this afternoon is, I think, we can't go over 150 contiguous acres with our size. We can only have one. But I think the stumbling block we may find on this, as I read it, was we need to have at least 4 liquor permits. I think Jim Lyons is on the phone as well. Karen, would you like to offer any information on the DORA? And for those that don't know on the call, Karen is the business owner of the ice cream store there, Fairport Harbor Creamery. Go ahead, Karen. You may be muted.
You guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So anyway, I talked to my liquor attorney about it before, and her thoughts were, I mean, it's been very successful in a lot of communities. I mean, it would definitely encourage people to stick around the downtown a little bit more. I mean, the disadvantage is they can't buy a beverage and take it in a business, which I don't think is really that big of a problem. But if there were benches and things outside, like people would, I think it would encourage people to stay downtown a little bit more, which would benefit the other businesses even once they finish their drink. And I do know that you have to have special cups that signify that you have bought a beverage that's alcoholic and you can't take it in another store. And from my understanding is you can make it whatever days you want to make it. It doesn't have to be every day of the week. So if you just want the DORA to be in effect, like on the weekends, you could do that. I mean, I don't know if you guys are planning.
No, I'm sorry, Karen, go.
I said, I don't know if you're planning on to include the lighthouse when you have back to when we can actually have concerts again. I mean, that would be a really great idea, that if people could buy an alcoholic beverage and sit there and enjoy the music and be able to have drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly would make that permit process, I think, a little easier. The nonprofits wouldn't have to fill out the whole footprint every time. Mr. Bertone, do you have any idea what 150 contiguous acres might look like, say, going from 2nd Street on High south? What does, and I think we can use both sides of the street too. I don't think we're stuck to just one.
I would think we could use the downtown overlay district. That would be pretty close, because that's just encapsulating the areas that the businesses are in. We would probably want to take it up the right of way in front of Lyondell.
Okay.
But ballparking, it would cover most of our downtown area, I think.
So you're thinking down to New Fourth then, or down to Fourth Street?
Pretty close, I would think. I could give us a more accurate calculation. I have the CAD file that has our village map on it, and it's accurate, so, I could get something and send that in and show you exactly where it's at, and we could tweak it. And that came up with the amphitheater plan, same way.
Okay. I think Clyde's on the phone, right?
Yeah, and he has that file as well. If he's not, he could do it, and if he's at work, and someone's there, he probably could have someone pull it up and tell us right now.
Okay. So Karen, would you like envision you would be able to serve your drinks outside then? And then like if it was a restaurant owner, would they be able to have drinks and stuff, or not just drinks, but food and things of
Yeah,
that
I mean,
nature?
you could just, yeah, I mean, you could come into the creamery or you could go into the Pompadour and you could buy food. You could take it outside with your drink and drink outside and eat. I mean, you could definitely do carry out, you know, if there was places to go, but yeah, it does allow you to do that for sure. Again, you couldn't take a boozy milkshake from the creamery and take it to the family restaurant and have dinner and drink your milkshake.
I understand that you couldn't take them into the museums and you couldn't take them into the
No.
haircut shops and things of that nature,
Right.
but it just designates a footprinted area to where open containers and that type of thing are allowed, and then I think it relaxes some of the boundaries that I think the normal liquor permit just inside your four walls or just to your property.
Right. It would even allow like the Pompadour to expand like their outside patio area. Like if they were to use, you know, like their parking lot area and have a bigger area to actually have a party out there, they could serve food and alcohol if they put up temporary tents. You know, I mean, it would, you know, it would do that. I actually think that the new House bill, that 669 that they're working on right now, would actually allow their permit to be used in their parking lot. If that passes. And I don't think there's any opposition. It probably will pass.
Gotcha. Okay. Jim Lyons, do you see any issues with kind of what we're talking about here? And then I think Amy has some authority as far as allowing certain things in the right of way. And what I mean by that, I kind of want to maybe shift gears and throw one more little wrinkle. That's not so much with the door, and I'll get back and let others talk about it as well. But Karen has some picnic tables out in the tree lawn. I don't think that's necessarily allowed right at the moment. I don't know that I have a problem with it. Karen and I have talked about this. I think it's incumbent upon us as local officials now to find a way to allow businesses such as Karen's and the family restaurant, et cetera, to find other ways to seat their patrons because they can't bring them inside their facilities with the COVID situation that we find ourselves in. What do we need to do from, the village's standpoint for that, Jim? And what authority does Amy have? And then what may we have to take back to council to maybe change some ordinances?
I didn't look at that. Generally speaking, the administration controls the right of way just in terms of their administrative powers to legislate the ordinances that are currently in effect. I didn't take a look at, what authority the administration has, but generally it can be pretty broad. However, if we're going to start letting picnic tables and other tables out in the right of way, since we're such a small town, it seems just as easy for us to run that through council and for us to come up with some sort of a simple ordinance that would allow the administration to approve it if certain guidelines are met. Okay, like maybe no more than 2 tables every, I don't know, 25 feet, whatever, would be reasonable, and make sure that there's insurance that's being provided, provided to us so that we know that they have proper insurance in case somebody gets hurt on our property. But I don't think, you look around and everybody's out on the right of way now in terms of things. So I think that would be a good idea. In terms of the Dora, though, we need 4 liquor licenses in order to make it. Okay, so that would, I'm certainly aware of the Pompadour. I'm aware of Karen's place, but the next 2 that I'm aware of are down the street at the Hungarian Culture Club and the bowling alley. So I don't know if there are any in between there, so that I'm aware of.
No, I don't think there are.
Would the liquor store count?
I don't
No.
believe so.
Okay.
What if we were, a couple thoughts here, and I'll go back one step to the insurance that Jim brought up. I wrote a note down here that when we looked at this, gosh, probably back around 2000, we were looking at allowing patios out on the walkway and maybe taking some parking places away. And I do think we had to go to, I think our carrier at the time was Zito, may still be the same one. I think we needed a rider back then in addition to what the business owner needed as well. So I don't think it was very much, so we should check that. But then with the 4 liquor licenses, what if we were to talk to Chris Pinta about that area he has across from his building where he was going to set up the farmer's market? Can we have a cooperative there to where each of the 4 liquor licenses might be able to, can you sell out of that spot? So each one has a tub or a portable bar set up too, so that we can incorporate those licenses into an area so it makes the whole thing work?
Is Chris Pinta, did he take over the beverage store?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, in the Dora law, it talks about holders of, and Karen probably knows what the classes are better than I do, but it means a holder of an A1, A1A, A1C, A2, A2F, or D class permit. And my guess is Chris Pinta has like a C permit for just retail sale, would be my guess. So does that sound right, Karen? What kind of?
You know what? I'm not quite sure. I know that there's I mean, I have a 1, 2, and 3, which is, but then there's a 5, which I think that's what Rich Lanes has, and the Hungarian Culture Club, which gives you all 3 of them. They have a little later license than what mine is. I think mine's still
you say
1
you have
o'clock.
a 1, 2, and 3. Is that a D?
It's D1, D2, and D3.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
A1, I think, is probably for places like the Hungarian Culture Club, is my guess. So,
assembly halls, yes, I think.
Yeah, right.
So, well then, if that's the case,
Chris
could
Pinta,
go ahead.
if he, I don't know how many. Well, there aren't any liquor licenses available in Fairport. That's why Karen had to go outside and get hers. Right? There's some.
Yeah. There's no more in Fairport.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
There are no. Oh, sorry,
Right.
I'm muted.
There may be some in storage, or I'm not sure.
No, there's not. There's not, Jim.
No. Okay.
So, quite here, comment for you. Mike Scruggs is texting me. He's obviously listening or watching this. He says the Wine Roost has a liquor license, and that's a good point, probably does. And the acreage that we were talking about earlier, a quarter mile works out to 160 acres. A square mile, quarter square mile. So I think that acreage will work out. What if, so if let's say the Wine Roost does have that, and we have 3 liquor licenses, could Chris lease that property to one of the other, let's say the bowling alley, for example? Could he lease that area to them so that they can use that for an outdoor patio?
No, in order to be able to use an outdoor patio, it has to be connected to your physical property.
Okay.
There is a way that the liquor permits can travel for like a one-time event thing or something like that. I know years ago I talked to Tony Shiver about some events down on the hill, and it's a pretty expensive fee to do it, but I don't know if that would count or not. So it looks like the number of licenses is what might be a stumbling block. Now, I've got John Rogers, he's our local state rep, looking into this for us as well. We can certainly talk to the folks at the state and find out if they're willing to amend the law some too. I don't know what that process is or how long that might take, but we may be looking down that road too, that, you know, a village of our size isn't going to have four in that small of an area.
You know, Tim,
So,
I have an idea. My licenses are all separate.
yeah,
I might be able to like sell my beer license to Brian and assign it to like the building next door, the tin shop.
sure.
You know, I could do something like that because my licenses are all three individual. They're not, it's not one license. So that would give your personal license. I mean, that's a thought.
Sure it is.
I don't, you know, I'm just guessing, Karen, but if you have
Yeah.
a D1, 2, and 3, I don't think you can sell the D2 or the D3.
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can.
Really?
They're all separate.
Hmm.
They're all separate. They're three separate licenses.
So
I'm pretty sure
That might be the ticket.
maybe there's
because
a,
when I was getting it transferred, I could have done just like wine and liquor, and then I got beer just because my liquor attorney felt it was a better value if I'm going to do it to get all three.
Oh, no, I agree with that. But I think that the community, you know, could only have so many D licenses. I don't think it's broken up into, you can have 4 or 5 D1s in different locations. I'm guessing about that.
that's
No,
going to take two. It will take time because council would have to approve that.
yeah. My D license is, the beer license was available. It was in Fairport. It was not transferred in.
Right.
The beer license was not transferred in.
Okay,
The liquor and wine
you may
was.
be able to sell the beer license to somebody, right?
Yeah.
That may be good enough then.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we might have enough.
the state will have to send it back to council. Council will have to vote on it, which is easy to do, but it just takes time.
Right.
So let me throw this out there. I'm not sure, why do we have to follow Dora? What if we were to alter our street map? Okay, we can take away parking spots. There's nothing that says that we need to have so many parking spaces in the downtown area, right? We can, if you fence off the area, you can create a patio. So what if we were to, and we've done this before for special events, what if we were to come up with an agreement with each of the business owners to where we section off areas certain days of the week where that becomes their extended patio so that they can get tables and chairs out there. And we can take all the let's just use the Pompadour, for example. We could include all of those parking spaces out there and put a temporary fence around those. And we could do the same thing at each of the locations.
My understanding that the liquor license has to be, you know, and the serving of the beer or alcohol has to be within an area that's defined within your liquor license permit premises. And that could include a fenced-in area. But in order to increase that area, you have to get it approved by the liquor board. Not the liquor board, but the liquor, you know, people have to approve that.
Okay.
In regards to people taking taking drinks out of Karen's place, for example, and walking down the street, you know, the problem we have is that that's a state Ohio Revised Code law, 4301, maybe 69, I think is the law. And we would then essentially be asking the police to not enforce the law in that kind of a situation. I think the stuff that you're talking about, Tony, is by a liquor permit where people are allowed to be in a much bigger area. Okay, that's allowed under the liquor permit laws. So that makes it not a violation of the open container laws.
Right.
So it kind of sounds like to me we have maybe a couple of paths that we can follow here. You know, I think we should try to figure out if we can make a DORA. It makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons, but if we want to be a little more surgical in what we do, we can maybe work with the individual business owner and see what makes sense for them and us. And like you said, it doesn't have to be every day of the week. It could be from certain times to times. And we would amend our legislation to allow maybe the administrator that type of freedom to where you don't always have to go back to council, you know, for that change.
Right.
I have a question, real quick.
Go ahead.
Did the Diamond Bistro ever get their liquor license, or were they still using temporary license? Because I know they were talking about getting a liquor license at one point.
You know, I don't know. That was one of the assignments I was going to give to Amy, was to check with the Wine Roost, and then I'm sure a call to liquor control could tell us what's you know been taken out in our area. Because I know the Wine Roost. Yeah, go ahead.
The Wine Roost is the carry out. She doesn't have, she can't serve glasses of wine. She's allowed to do samples. She can do, I think, 2 1-ounce samples.
Is that an A? Are those A's or what are
It's
those,
a, I don't know which one that is, but it's a retail permit.
Okay.
I mean, I'm allowed, with my license, I'm allowed to retail it as well. I don't, but I could sell bottles of beer, bottles of wine to go.
Right.
Wine Roost has C1, C2, and a D8. So that means carry out of alcohol and carry out of beer, carry out of wine and alcohol.
Well, there you go. So she can sell a drink to go.
So
In a
then
sealed
that
container.
would count.
What did you say she has, Chris? C1, C2, and what?
D8.
Okay, D8 doesn't count.
Correct.
Right.
Except the D, does it say except the D8 with a C class permit? Is that what I see? And I don't know what that would be. Okay, well, I guess that would be one that doesn't count then, is what I'm looking at. All right. So again, I think we have a couple of ways to go with this. I'll ask Amy to continue to dig into it. And then, you know, I think we should probably approach the Pompadour and find out what they're wanting to do from a business standpoint, and then work with them and have them work with liquor control with their permit and see what makes sense. And I would do the same, you know, with you, Karen, if you wanted to expand something. And then Jim, I'll ask Amy to work with you as well, maybe between now and the next council meeting, to find out what we may want to do, and we'll pull Clyde into the conversation as far as the right of way goes. Because I think, like Tony said, I think we have some of this stuff on the books already. I know we give them, the administrators, some pretty broad powers, because we've defined this a couple of different times with sandwich signs and things like that. So some of this is there. We just got to kind of undust it and find out what we need to do to make that work.
I think Karen said that there's a bill going through the House now to allow, you know, the use of the parking lots and whatnot. Maybe if you get the John Rogers, he can add a rider to that bill or an amendment, you know, to make this 2 or less. Okay, and you know, for places that are 10,000 and under, or 12,000 and under. So
Good idea.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if there's already a bill there, I mean, this is certainly liquor related also. People want to try to
definitely
keep places alive. That may be the quickest way to get this done. So.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea too. Then I'll reach out to him with that. Now, I'm sure I'll ask you for assistance with that too, Jim.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments for the Dora?
No.
I don't think so. Why are we not including Rich's Lanes?
I think they're too far away.
Oh, okay.
So And then if they're
Put that
not,
for you.
I think that's something, you know, if they're not, I think that's absolutely part of the conversation. But the problem is if, so from a community standpoint, if we march much past convenient, you now have, you know, residential homes that are open container ferries. That'd be very hard to, you know, that would be.
It's pretty far
something that
away.
I don't know that you know, I think it could get out of, you know, control a little quicker than the downtown area could, because you'd have, you know, homeowner, again, you know, there's 100 ways that something can go sideways on you, but I don't know that that's something that we'd want to consider.
That's a good point. That's a big area to police.
Right, that big of an area. We need to put Rich's lanes in the theater. We'll bring them a little closer.
Yeah.
So, okay, Karen, do you have anything else to add?
I really don't. I really don't. Do you need me to move those picnic tables?
No. What we need to do is find a way to make those picnic tables work for you. Like we said when we talked, I'm sure there's a yes here. We just need to figure out what that yes is, because the guys at the restaurant have asked for the same permission. And, you know, we're certainly, you know, aware of your guys' plight, and you're trying to operate a business and generate tax dollars, et cetera. And we want to be, you know, supportive of that, but we want to be safe and do all the things that we still need to do. So I would say at this point, let's just pump the brakes on it. We should have something, I would think, before the next council meeting. It doesn't sound like this is out of our reach to figure out. So,
Okay.
does the committee agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right, good. Then, you know, hey, Jerry, how are you?
super.
Good.
Sorry,
You'll have to watch oh, that's okay. You're going to have to watch the after party to get all the details around the door. We had a pretty good conversation around.
Yeah, I came on like at 5:35. So.
Oh, well, then you heard a lot of it then. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any questions then or comments?
No, I just think we just need to be able to do whatever is in our power to do it to make it work. So I think however we can find a way to do it is what we need to do.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there.
Putting a rider on the bill.
Yeah.
Maybe they can make it 3 permits instead of 4.
Right.
Right.
Are we sure we have 3 permits in the area?
No, I think we just have 2 for sure.
Right.
Oh, you don't think the wine roost is going to work?
I don't know that it's going to make it. Yeah. Okay. Well, Karen, do you have anything else for us then?
I do not. I will excuse myself, I guess. I'm driving home.
All
My
right.
other house.
Thank you.
All right.
Be careful. Thanks for everything
Hi,
you're doing.
Lauren.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Yep. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that brings us to our last agenda item, which I do believe is the planners in the right of way. Yes.
Yes. That is correct.
Amy, I will give the floor to you.
Okay. So we were originally back in March, as you saw in the minutes, Mr. Scruggs came to the meeting and showed us the wood planters that he was wanting to put in the downtown area. They were planning on doing some fundraising, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic, they weren't able to complete their fundraising plans. Also, due to some other issues with folks that were going to help them make the planters, they were unable to do that as well. So they were kind of looking for a backup plan. They had a request to purchase some different planters, which I have included in your packet there. It's actually a plastic container, and the specs are on it right there. I think they were hoping to still complete a few of the wood planters and then incorporate some of these dark gray ones that they found at an outlet. So they were looking to see if Streets and Sidewalks would be supportive of adding that to the streets.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not really sure if we ever determined, I really don't know if they have any of the wood planters made at this point. I'm not sure how many of the gray planters would be needed, or if anyone had a ballpark on how many would be needed. And also, I think they're looking for some financial support from the village to help them purchase these pots as well.
I would think we would need at least a dozen, 1, 2, 3, even 5 isn't different, because you want to group these together a little bit. They're nice. They look like they're bigger pots. And then by the time the box is built, which is what I think we were talking about also, I don't know if it was quite a dozen, but it was a number of them.
Yeah. I talked to Pat this morning and she said there was 12.
Yeah. So it starts to look like some of the, these shopping centers that are going up everywhere, Crocker, Legacy, all those sorts of places, they replicate our village, right? And so that's sort of how they landscape their streetscapes, with groupings of planters like this. So I'd rather, if we're going to do it, that we get enough so that this looks right.
Dozen planters, and then I think they're looking for a funding source to help purchase these planters. I don't know where.
We had agreed to some, I think we agreed to a dollar figure at a council meeting, no? Chris,
I think
do you remember that?
$1,200, I think.
That's the number that's about in my head, yeah.
Okay. So we could put, I think that we will, yeah, I think we set a donation in that ballpark of $1,200. So we would want to then put it toward these planters.
I have no issue with that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if the committee's all right with it, do we need to take any formal council action with it? Because again, I think we took some action at a council meeting. I don't know that we voted on anything, or if we just made it part of the minutes that we had the conversation. We should look at what, at what we did then, make sure that we're following suit, and then just move forward with it.
I think we approved it because they were going in the right of way.
That's my thought as well. So, Amy, get with Clyde as far as putting them in the right, the right of way, and then just have something for the council meeting. And I think you can purchase these in the meantime.
So that,
go ahead.
That in our packet, it's buy one get one free. So at $180 for 2 of them, you can get 14 just with our $1,200.
Yeah, we should do that, but it also says out of stock.
So I talked to Pat, when I talked to Pat this morning, they've already purchased 12 and they're sitting at the store because they didn't want to lose them. That was all the store had. So they're sitting there and they're holding them for our approval. And the total for those is, it was $863.
Look, we're ahead.
Right.
Beautiful thing.
Good.
I would also say this, let's think down the road a little bit too. So we're accepting this pot as a supplemental pot. Let's add to language here that something similar in look, size, and shape, if we want to expand this next year, we don't have to keep coming back.
Sure. All right. Again, we can just give that power to the administrator.
Yes.
Okay.
Amy's got all the power in the world now.
That's right.
That's right. With great power comes great responsibility, remember.
That's right.
All right. Well, good. So then, Amy, will you follow up then with Pat?
Yes.
I don't know if service needs to go pick the planners up. And then, like I say, just get with Clyde and finding, a good way to secure them. Because part of the design process with the other planners was we were going to put the art project in the center of them, and we didn't want them blowing all over the place. So we still have that concern with these. We don't want to be drilling into sidewalks with them, et cetera. So there's some things that yes, we're going to move forward with this, but there's still some things that need to get looked at. So I just want Clyde to bless that, okay?
Okay.
Outside of that, I think we are good to call this meeting a wrap unless anybody has anything else.
No.
I'm good.
I think we're set.
Okay. I thank you all. Have a good evening.
You
Hey.
too.
Thanks, everybody.
Good.